Hello, my name is Tim and we're here to talk about RTEs or real-time events. Now, real-time events allows you to send commands within content that you have distributed via Signagelive. For example, you may have an image file or a video file that you want to send whilst also controlling the brightness of your screen. This is just one example of how RTEs can be used in the real world to make real-life changes to the way that other things aside from your digital signage are working. So let's take an example of what this might actually look like in a real-life environment. Let's say you're organizing a retail store and you want content to display with different brightnesses depending on what time of day it is. Well, by using Signagelive scheduling functionality, you can schedule for a specific playlist to run during the daytime and a different kind of playlist in the afternoon and evening as it gets darker. At that point, you can change your backlight to whatever preference you want through the RTE, so as things change, your screen becomes darker whilst the other screens stay the same. And again, this can be dependent on the content that you're distributing to Signagelive. So all of those functions that are built into the CMS itself, being able to schedule content based on what time of day it is, where the tag or player is located, where the location is, what the date is, all of that can be configured by the asset, and within the asset itself, we tell it what to do externally. Now, this example is just talking about being able to control the volume, being able to control the screen size, being able to control things like the screen source, like being able to say that this is now running as a daisy chain from a bright sign player behind it. But actually, what if we wanted to move all of our content over to the left-hand side, whilst the right-hand side becomes a HDMI input? All of this is functional and capable within the Signagelive RTE. Now, I'm demonstrating all of this here today from this tablet, which allows me to do this on a web-based trigger, and I can demonstrate it to you really quickly here. But this could be anything. It doesn't necessarily need to be a physical touch button or a web-based touch. It could literally be built into the asset itself. If I show you this video here, what I'm demonstrating is the ability for us to go and enter in the commands that is then built into this particular asset. So when the asset displays on the screen, it's not me touching the button that actually changes the lighting, for example. What it is the recognition that that new piece of content has been delivered to the screen and that change needs to be made. So there's a whole host of possibilities when we're talking about controls of the screen itself: volume, brightness, muting and unmuting, turning the players off and on again. So again, I can turn these screens off right now, like so. Alternatively, this could be something that you actually trigger based on lighting externally. So let's think of a corporate office space where you want to have a real showpiece video wall. And when that video wall shows red content, you want the lights around the entire place to be displaying red. You want it to show green when it's green. You also want to show when a new person enters the building, a particular piece of music plays. It's all possible to be configured via the RTEs. And again, with no additional hardware, with no additional control knowledge being learnt. You simply just need to know what codes you want to prompt and for it to be on the same network. Now, all of this is still cloud-based, so you can send these commands, you can manage all of this content via Signagelive, a cloud-based CMS platform that allows you to deliver that content to the players wherever they are in the world. However, if an internet connection goes down, it's no limitation. It still allows you to display this content locally and publish that trigger or publish that command via the RTE on that location. So if, say, for example, the bright sign device running behind this, the internet goes off completely, the new piece of content displays as expected, the RTE will still trigger, as it's still locally triggering. So next, we're going to show you what this might look like in a more real-life example. Okay, so let's have a look at this at scale. So when we're talking about RTEs, what else can we control? Well, actually, the configuration that we've got right here is still running from that same bright sign device that we did display a moment ago. The only difference is the actual command that we're sending is over the local network. So we can control multiple devices externally from the player that we actually have configured and controlling Signagelive. Now, obviously, you could have multiple players running this, but say, for example, I'm about to leave the office and I just want to configure my content to turn off. I can just select panel off and all of the screens that I've chosen to turn off will turn off automatically for me based on that real-time event. And again, this is a web trigger, but it could be pre-configured into the content itself, or it could be a physical button as you leave the door. It could also turn off the other lights in the location. It can do pretty much anything when it comes to communicating via that TCP or RS-232 communication. So let's just flip that entire conversation on its head and say we're about to enter our showroom for the beginning of the day and we have our controls in our hands, or whether it's been scheduled on that time. Again, I can select panel on and you'll see our screens will automatically turn themselves on and start to display as expected without any intervention. This could be light sources, controlling the brightness of your player, changing the mood or environment, video wall control, So at the end of the day, this is what we're looking at, is being able to create a full experience using RTEs and digital signage to deliver the content first and then structure and change whatever's going around that environment. So for example, lighting, audio, it could be changing the lighting on the screen, it could be changing the brightness, playing audio cues. And again, it's all the technology that can connect to other applications to create whatever kind of experiential center that you want. Bearing in mind, all of this is achieved without any additional hardware, without any additional cost, all being able to be managed via your CMS platform, so there's no long lead times for any additional hardware that you might need to configure something like this. If you have any other questions or you'd like to reach out to us, feel free to reach out to us at signagelive.com. Thanks very much.